All right, let's set the scene. It's October 24th, 1944. We're in the middle of the Philippine Sea, and the Battle of Leyte Gulf, the biggest naval battle in all of history, is just absolutely raging. And for one American pilot, this day is about to go down in legend. So, on the deck of the USS Essex, Commander David McCampbell gets the call. There's this massive wave of 60 Japanese planes screaming towards the fleet. And what does he have to stop them? Seven F-6F Hellcats. That's it. 7 planes against 60. I mean, the math is just brutal. That's almost a 9-to-1 advantage for the enemy. And here's the thing, right? Every single rule in the book, every piece of training McCampbell has ever had is screaming at him, keep your force together. But, the manuals don't really plan for a situation this insane. He's got a choice to make, and literally thousands of lives are hanging on it. The fleet's main air patrol is spread way too thin. So McCampbell's 7 planes, they are it. They are the absolute last line of defense for their carrier group. There is no backup coming. It's either them or it's a total disaster. So what does he do? He makes his decision. He sends 5 of his pilots to go after the biggest threat, the bombers. But to give them even a ghost of a chance, he and his wingman Ensign Roy Rushing peel off to do something that sounds like pure suicide. They're going to take on all 40 of the enemy's escort fighters by themselves. 2 planes against 40. What happens next is it's one of the most incredible displays of flying and fighting in history. This wasn't just about being brave. It was about being smart, knowing your strategy, and knowing your machine inside and out. Okay, to really get this, you got to understand the planes. The Japanese Zero was famous for being able to outturn pretty much anything. In a classic close-in dogfight, it was deadly. But McCampbell knew his Hellcat was a beast. It was heavier and had a way more powerful engine. So his strategy was simple but brilliant. Get above them, use gravity to dive down like a hawk, open fire, and then use all that power to climb right back up before they even knew it hit them. We call it boom and zoom. And McCampbell puts that plan into action immediately. He dives from 20,000 feet, picks a guy on the edge of the Japanese formation, and the Zero pilot never sees him coming. All 6 of his .5 caliber machine guns just open up, and the enemy plane literally falls apart in midair. 1 down. After that first hit, the Japanese formation just shatters into chaos. McCampbell and Rushing are relentless. They just keep executing that dive and climb, again and again. They're like a combine harvester going through a wheat field. His 5th kill, an Army Oscar fighter, had even less armor than a Zero. It just vaporized. He's not done. He chases down one last Zero that's trying to run for it. With one final, perfect burst of fire, the plane starts smoking and disappears into the clouds. And that's it. That's his 9th kill. In one 90-minute mission, he has just smashed the American record for victories in a single flight. Partway through this whole thing, McCampbell's genius really came out. His wingman, Rushing, radios him he's completely out of ammo. So what does McCampbell do? He doesn't send him home, no way. He uses him as a decoy. See, to the Japanese pilots, a Hellcat with empty guns looks exactly the same as one that's fully loaded. It forced them to split their focus, which let McCampbell keep on the attack. Absolutely brilliant. So the battle is won. But the mission? It's not over. Not by a long shot. McCampbell has chased the enemy deep into their territory, and now he's facing a totally different enemy, a fuel gauge that's sitting on empty. He glances at his map, then at his fuel gauge, and I can only imagine his blood ran cold. He is 100 miles away from his carrier, hanging over the deep, unforgiving Pacific Ocean. The math was just awful. He had maybe 30 minutes of fuel left, for a flight that was going to take a lot longer than that. He pulls the throttle back as far as he can, just trying to sip every last drop of gas on that long, tense trip home. And just when you think things couldn't possibly get any worse, they do. As he's finally getting close to the fleet, he faces a new nightmare: friendly fire. The ships down below see 2 planes they don't recognize and just open up with everything they've got, while 4 American fighters dive on him, trying to shoot him down. The friendly fire stops just as quickly as it started, but the damage is done. Just 2 miles from the Essex, McCampbell's engine coughs, sputters, and then dies. Total silence. The propeller is just spinning uselessly. He is now flying a 14,000-pound glider. He's not going to make it to the Essex, but he spots a smaller carrier, the USS Langley, and in a split second decides to go for it. With no power, you get one shot at this. It's called a dead stick landing. He drops his landing gear but keeps his flaps up to avoid any extra drag, which means he's coming in super fast and steep. He clears the back of the ship by inches, slams onto the flight deck, and his tailhook catches an arresting wire at the very last possible moment. So when the dust settled, the statistics from that 190-minute flight were, well, they're just staggering. The numbers alone tell you just how incredible this was. 9 confirmed kills. That's more than any other U.S. Navy pilot would get in a single mission for the entire war. It's a record that still stands today. And to do it, he unleashed an unbelievable amount of firepower. In just over an hour of fighting, he fired almost 2,400 rounds of ammunition from his guns. But here's the kicker. When the ground crew on the Langley checked his plane, you know how many bullets he had left? A grand total of 2. 2 bullets. He had fought until he was quite literally out of ammo. And the fuel tanks? Bone dry. Turns out, after gliding those last 2 miles, he had landed with absolutely 0 fuel to spare. His engine had died at the exact instant his tailhook caught the wire. The margins just don't get any thinner than that. For his actions that day, David McCampbell was awarded the Medal of Honor. He became the Navy's ace of aces. He made it through the war, and his legacy is still very much alive. There's a destroyer, the USS McCampbell, named after him, and you can actually go see the very same Hellcat he flew that day, perfectly preserved in a museum. But you know, after facing those impossible odds, after the record-breaking fight, after that miracle of a landing, McCampbell's own take on it was just simple and humble. His incredible actions really stand in sharp contrast to his own words, and it leaves you with this powerful thought. What does it really mean to just do your job when everything is on the line?